So greetings everyone. We are going live, me and Versan again. I see some comments here. People are starting to ask what time we are going live. We're actually just going live now. So I think Versan wants to say a few words on especially why we haven't had our live as usual on the last Thursday. So maybe you want to touch on that, Versan.
I'm sorry. One more time.
If you want to make some comments on why we were not able to live stream on the last Thursday.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all, of course, for being here today. I'm sure you can tell my voice is a little off. I've always valued transparency with my friends in the community, but I do want to share something personal with everybody. For the first time in a very long time, actually in 4 years, I've contracted a virus from someone with a very weak immune system. And again, it's been over 4 years since I've been sick like this. I've overcome it. I beat the fever and whatnot, but there's just something very serious going around. And I want everyone to be careful. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I do want to share my experience with everyone. In the last 4 days, I have lost over 10 pounds. I had much trouble sleeping and even experienced hallucinations. So it's been very frightening. And thankfully, by the grace of God, and I was able to overcome it with natural remedies. So I just really want to emphasize the importance of our health and immunity, something Ido is very familiar with. And I never did rely on vaccines or medication from big pharma. I always use natural immunity, honey, zinc, some of the ingredients you can find in your kitchen. And this also is an opportunity for me to answer a question many have asked me in personal messages, whether I've been vaccinated before. And I want to make it abundantly clear, I've never taken what I call death sticks. And that's really what they are. I've always refused to take experimental drugs, especially those pushed on us by those with agendas of mass depopulation. So my message to everybody is just to be cautious. And of course, be careful who you surround yourself with and prioritize your immunity and your health, because this experience has certainly scared me and reinforced the importance of taking care of myself and just being mindful of my surroundings. So thank you guys for letting me explain my experience and sharing that with you.
Well, first and foremost, I think we appreciate, Versan, the fact that regardless of that you have been having a lot of fever recently. I mean, you just say you lost 10 pounds. That's quite impressive for the short amount of time. So, yeah, well, we do appreciate that you have the courage to step in, and keep doing with your life. We are just trying to maintain it 2 times a week. It's one of my favorite moments of the week. I can tell you for sure that. So, I am actually happy that you are getting better. And that also shows us the importance of taking care of our health. I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm actually saying the quite opposite. That it's very important to take measures to actually prevent to getting sick. But when it actually happens, I think it comes a lot for us to learn in the limits of our body. And sometimes I have a sentence that if you don't find time to take care of your health, you will end up having to find time to take care of your sickness. So,
yeah,
just the fact that you are going for natural medicines, I just saw you are having that a great tea with, I think you said with lemon, with pepper. I think that's great, and I'm from the same, I have the same thought line. I have not been vaccinated. I am someone that, however, takes care of what I actually eat, what I actually put in my body. I read everything that I buy in the supermarkets, in the supplements that I take. I read labels. I don't use anything that's toxic. I have my own understanding of health. As I used to say, I am my own doctor. And I think whenever you use this sentence, it brings a lot of power. Whenever you place the I am before a statement, and that's how I have actually lived. Of course, throughout the years, it eventually happens. You get sick, and I also had some days where I was sick. But I think the really answer is what you actually do when you are sick. Are you actually going to rely your health on doctors, and just when you look for the doctors, they are overweight, they are vaccinated. I mean, they understand a lot about sickness, but in my opinion, they understand very little about health, and that's why I think we have everything from nature, from minerals, from lemons, just like I do over here. I drink my water from a copper glass, which is proven to be a superconductor. I think we have so many ways to actually recover, and one of them, in my opinion, is also to get a great night of sleep. I think sleep is the most powerful medicine that is out there. Sun as well. I know you, Versan, sometimes send me a picture just laying in the sun. I think that's also great. Well, it doesn't mean we're never going to get sick. I think it's more about what we do when we get sick. And I think every time we get sick and we are not going for the traditional medical system and taking antibiotics and taking all of these medicines, I think we're building our natural immune system. I think next time, whenever you get some type of disease, your immune system is going to be much more ready to actually fight the infection. But
Yeah.
well, but I think everyone here appreciates that, regardless of uh, the guy just lost 10 pounds. I was actually in shock when he said that, but we appreciate a lot
Yeah.
to step in
Hey,
and
well,
we have
thank
the
you, man.
courage to.
I appreciate that. But just for the audience, we are going to talk about a few things that do matter.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we're just giving an introduction of them of what was going on. And
yeah,
yeah, we have some topics here that we're going to cover today. So I think it's very important to talk about automated market makers. I see a lot of people send me DMs or comment on my videos asking about it. And I think that involves taking decisions about your XRP. So that's definitely an important topic that we want everyone to be as informed as possible. We're going to also touch on the XRP escrow and all of the noise that's going around.
yes.
And later on, as I see for the chronology here, we're going to talk about gold-backed currencies, which Versan definitely knows a lot about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can. You want to start, Versan, with escrow release or automated market makers? What do you prefer?
Well, let's start with the automated market maker. I think a lot of people do not know what it is. The
Yeah,
XRP, yeah. So the AMM is really a platform that is designed to facilitate decentralized trading through liquidity pools. And it allows XRP holders to contribute your assets, your XRP, to these pools through smart contracts, which is designed to ensure constant availability and of liquidity, and it eliminates the need for traditional order matching. So instead of those prices being determined through algorithms, they're based on ratios of tokens within the pool. But this is a milestone for the XRP community for many reasons, because it provides an opportunity for everybody to use to become liquidity providers, and that's something we talked about a long time ago. Where when can people start earning passive income in a form of trading? And these fees are proportional to to whatever contribution you can make. So it's basically incentivizing the participation of liquidity providing. So we have gotten there now, and that's successful. So that's good news. But of course, my opinion is still a little bit different as far as am I already using this? And me personally, no, I'm not. I'm happy that we've gotten there, but I still want to approach this with caution. My brother and I have discussed this thoroughly. Just given the existing regulatory uncertainty, and I know XRP is regulated, but with the ongoing lawsuit, it does have a lot of clout over there still. And I just want to say that the controversies have created a level of uncertainty, even though that uncertainty is not really there. What I'm trying to say is that there's a delay in full utilization of the XRP based AMMs in institutional settings. So basically, in my opinion, all I'm saying is that exercise patience and just carefully evaluate what's happening with the lawsuit before committing significant resources of your XRP to the AMM, because XRP is still the long-term game. It's a long-term investment. So you don't want to fully leverage your assets for very minimal returns, if that makes sense. So minimal gains, in my opinion, at this stage, it's not really worth it, but in the long run, it will be. So I'm just waiting personally for the broader adoption and for this damn lawsuit to just get over with, so that framework is really there before making significant moves myself in this AMM market. So
Yeah, I can also add some insights to the automated market makers. It's actually exciting news. So let's break it down in two sections of my comment. One is going to be about why it's also risky to place your XRP on a liquidity pool. It also comes with risks, and then I can touch a bit on how this is actually getting implemented via XRP ledger amendment. So first and foremost, I think Versan explained it very well. And if you still have any doubts, just think about trading pairs. That's what it's going to be about. So basically, you have, let's use Bitcoin as an example. You have Bitcoin against USDT, you have Bitcoin against Ethereum, Bitcoin against XRP, and the same is going to happen with liquidity pools for XRP. So you're just going to actually place your XRP on a liquidity pool in return for API. Just to have in mind that the smaller the liquidity, the greater the rewards, but actually it's gonna also be high risk. So basically, if you're gonna place your XRP on a liquidity pool for an asset that has little liquidity, you also having the risks to actually get liquidated. So you, by any chance, you wanna hear what some influencers are telling out there, they're gonna say that uh, automated market makers equal passive income. That's not really like that, because if you're just gonna put your XRP for an asset that's not liquid enough, the same thing that happens when you actually open a long position or a long position and you're actually trading your portfolio, you might end up getting liquidated. So here is what I'm gonna do. I'm not giving a financial advice to anybody. I'm just telling what's my strategy. I'm gonna take around I can be even practical. I will take around 500 XRP, which is a very small fraction of my holdings, and I'm gonna play with this 500 XRP, providing the liquidity on the liquidity pools, and I'm gonna see how it plays out for 3 6 months. I also wanna get familiar with that. You don't want to hear about this new feature that's gonna be implemented. It's still very new. It's not very sophisticated yet. And imagine you have 10,000 XRP and you're just going to put 100% of your XRP there in the hope that you're going to get a 7% API. And imagine you end up getting liquidated and lose everything. So that comes back to what Versan actually said. It's a long-term gain, a long-term investment. You should not be concerned on this moment to actually generate substantial APIs out of your XRP. That's my opinion. I prefer to play safe and be a long-term investor. Now, about
yeah,
if it has been fully approved yet, I know we had uh, 80% of consensus, but two of the validators actually withdrew their votes. So we were back to 26 votes out of 28 for to get approved. I have to be honest, I haven't looked today at the votes, but the last time I have checked, it hasn't been approved yet. And once the validators actually reach 28 out of 35 of the consensus, then 2 weeks after, if consensus is maintained for a period of 2 weeks, then it's going to get implemented on the ledger. So it's definitely not live yet, but that's why it's extremely important for us to discuss before the implementation, so that the people who are watching this video, when it actually gets implemented, they know what's happening.
right. And it's not a bad idea to experiment a little bit if you want. If you're comfortable with that, go ahead. Me personally, I just simply don't give a shit just yet. So I'm waiting for the long term, and until then, I'm just going to be focusing on other more important topics. So
Yeah, and I tell you more. The only reason I said I'm gonna be doing that with 500 XRP is just for the sole purpose of, if people want to do it, I actually know how to do it and I can actually instruct them. But I don't recommend doing that. That's just my opinion as well.
love the way you said it, man. Yeah.
So I think we can jump to next topic, which is gonna be the escrow release. There has been a lot of noise this week involving the escrow release. There has been actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was supposed to be 200 million XRP that supposedly was being released from the escrow. So how do you actually see that, Versan?
First of all, I love how you said the escrow noise because that's what it is. Noise. It's always fucking noise. You know, from this, it's crazy. I've never seen more noise in the XRP community than ever. But let's talk about it then. Okay, so first of all, I think it's important to acknowledge what is the XRP escrow first, right? The XRP escrow, many people are not aware, it is a mechanism implemented by Ripple, the company behind XRP, to manage the supply of XRP tokens. So, in simple terms, basically the escrow works by locking up large amounts of XRP through smart contracts. Excuse me, guys, I'm sorry, with a portion of it being released at regular intervals over a predetermined period of time. And let's explain why Ripple strategically does this. And I say strategically because it is done strategically. And I'll explain that in a second. They release it strategically, contrary to the misconception, what other people say. And I've seen so many comments already on this from my Twitter, that it's aiming to flood the market and reduce the price, which is not true. Firstly, by releasing XRP from escrow, Ripple is able to ensure the steady and predictable supply of XRP tokens, which is designed to foster more liquidity in the market. And because liquidity refers to the ease which an asset can be bought or sold without significantly impacting its price. So by maintaining liquidity, Ripple is able to facilitate the smooth functioning of the XRP ecosystem. And that makes it more attractive to investors, traders, and potential partnerships. And that's what this is all about. Second thing to look at is releasing XRP from escrow enables Ripple to distribute XRP tokens to various exchanges and institutions, thereby increasing accessibility to the cryptocurrency itself. And that is the broader narrative because it makes the broader availability of XRP and it encourages more exchanges to list the token, which then in turn expands its reach and utility, which is the goal here. So it's just essential to emphasize the macro perspective of the escrow in understanding why Ripple's actions are the way they are regarding XRP and releasing it, instead of focusing solely on the short-term market movements and price fluctuations like everybody else. And that's what he's talking about, the noise, you know? Again, you know, the larger goal of Ripple is to establish XRP as a versatile and widely accepted digital asset as a real world utility. And that's exactly what the escrow is doing there, the release of XRP tokens. So that's the overall view. So everything else is noise. I've seen all the tweets this morning and I'm like, oh my God, here we go again.
Yeah, and there's so much noise. They sometimes go around discussing topics that they have absolutely no sense, and they just go around this topic that has no sense. Just like the same thing they say, what if David Schwartz say they will burn the escrow, which is something that will never happen in the first place. I mean, the escrow is there for an essential reason. You don't see the same thing happening to other assets. You don't see I was going to use Stellar as an example, but I wanted to say actually Ethereum having an escrow. Well, there is a very important reason why there is around 50 billions XRP on escrow. It's virtually half of the supply. So just think for a second still, if we have, this is just my personal speculation, I cannot really provide with any proofs of what I'm going to say, but it's just my personal speculation. Don't take that as facts, but just think for a second, if the XRP that's actually escrowed already belongs to someone, well, for sure it belongs to Ripple, and that makes it impossible for anyone else to burn the escrow. It's just like you're going to burn someone else's wealth, which that's exactly what it is. That's why the theory that the escrow can be burned will never happen. Even if the validators come together and try to burn the escrow, Ripple would never accept that, and they have no way to actually go ahead. XRP would become a fork, just like Bitcoin Cash. So forget about burning the escrow. But let's make my point here. If some key institutions like the IMF or the Bank of International Settlements have purchased substantial portions of the escrow back in 2020, 2019, that also brings us to the conclusion that XRP was always meant to be a world reserve currency, and that
Yes.
explains why. That makes a lot of sense. They already have, if that is to happen. I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm just saying that if that actually makes XRP a world reserve currency as per the definition, held in substantial amounts by central banks. Who else better than the Bank of International Settlements, which is the central bank of central banks?
Right. Yeah, and I think people ask a lot of the wrong questions sometimes. You could see that a lot, especially when I'm reading the comments. I'm looking at the questions, and people are asking the wrong questions, and they're trying to further complicate something that is not that complicated to understand. And again, the rest of it, a lot of it is just noise. So you don't have to pay attention to
Yeah,
all the nonsense out
I
there.
just have a feeling sometimes that all the action is happening here and everybody's looking
Yeah,
on the wrong
yeah,
direction. They're just making discussions out of matters that shouldn't be discussed at all. I
I
saw
agree.
people spending weeks discussing if the escrow will be burned. I mean, there you have your answer.
Oh God, so much time wasted. I don't know. I thought that was what we just did there was important. We at least explained that people have an understanding what XRP escrow is. Should they be paying attention to everything else? Honestly, I would ignore the escrow noise. Okay, don't worry about it. Again, by releasing tokens in this is good. It's going to really spread the XRP token and enhance the ecosystem overall. So that's all that matters. Somebody asked me about my brother. My brother and I, we still run the show together. We just do a lot of the live streams are something Ito and I do, and I'm very happy with that. My brother's comfortable with it too. So Vindel and I will be doing a lot more shows this month. We have some wonderful, surprising guests that are coming on the show. So we will have a lot of experts come on and bring some real challenge, updated information to the space. So we got some good stuff coming. So don't worry.
And hopefully we're gonna have Vandal here for a live stream. I have never made a live stream with him. I would be happy as well.
Yeah, I would love to. Vindel and I have very, very different schedules. When we're trying to coordinate a session with a guest, we have to coordinate sessions amongst each other as well. People don't know that. We have different schedules. We run various businesses together. So, yeah. But
Yeah,
thank
that's
you
great.
for your consideration for my brother in the comments. And, Vindel is doing very well. I can promise you that.
I'm just seeing some comments here. Guys, today, because it's just me and Versan, we have a bit more time also to answer some comments, because usually if it's four of us or three of us, as it has been in the past, then we have to rush things a bit more. So yeah, you can, if anyone has some questions, we happy to answer some of them before we jump to gold-backed currencies.
Okay, yeah. So let's move on to the gold backed currency. People, oh my God, my voice. Yes, I'm aware my voice is. You should have heard it yesterday. It sounded like a squirrel. could could get anything out. So yeah, let's focus on the next topic. I guess we can move towards the gold backed currencies. Um, Ito, let's see. There was a lot of articles coming out about how certain states were slowly putting laws and regulations into place for gold-backed currencies. One person who I'm particularly fond of was Zach Rector. He did put a tweet out mentioning how one of the states was putting legislation in place for a gold-backed currency. So I just want to clarify, the movement towards this gold-backed currency, it's happening in certain states in the USA. And I think this is just a response to all the economic concerns that we see and also the historical patterns with the central banks. States like Louisiana, Utah, and even Texas, my state, have passed legislation recognizing gold and silver as legal tender. And I think this is important because it allows citizens to conduct transactions using precious metals instead of traditional fiat currencies, which is just, it's an amazing step forward. And it's also because of the growing distrust between the centralized banking system, particularly the Federal Reserve, which have caused significant economic challenges to the whole world. They've impoverished people like you wouldn't believe. It is insane. So the sentiment that we're talking about is even echoed through President Trump's executive orders that were put into place when he was still in office, that were aimed at reducing the reliance on the Federal Reserve and their policies. And if I may add a historical piece of data here, that this is interesting because I see so many parallels what President Trump is doing, or what he did, I'm sorry, that can be drawn to the actions of President Kennedy, who was he was working so hard to challenge the influence of the Federal Reserve and the central banks by introducing the silver certificate. And that's one of the reasons the CIA killed the US president. But the move towards a gold-backed currency, it's also influenced by the global trend, I believe, and that's what the BRICS nations is doing. So we see us kind of following in the footsteps a little bit, and maybe we're not selling it that way, but that's what we see happening. So to establish that alternative financial system based on gold reserves, and I think that's again why central banks too are still accumulating gold too, to challenge that. But this aligns with the desire for a financial sovereignty and stability. And that's why gold is still going to be key to having stability in a financial system. So I think it's just a response about the long-term viability of fiat currencies. And fiat currencies, ladies and gentlemen, are going away very slowly, but they are.
Also, great to highlight that I see BRICS countries, especially Russia, has been buying large sums of gold. And if we have a closer look into African countries as well, we have Zimbabwe has made several progress with gold-backed currencies. They are actually planning on a CBDC, and you know that Zimbabwe is one of the countries that is supposed to join BRICS as well. So it's also, I was talking to Nikos, you know, the he's
Yeah.
you actually he texted me because of you, and he was explaining to me that because of that he was also buying the Zimbabwean currency, which I just
Yep.
thought is a brilliant idea. And I don't know if he got this idea from you, but I just see that the worst thing right now, in my opinion, is to hold US dollars. I mean, just yesterday I had a friend visiting me, which he's also into crypto, he's a very intelligent guy, and we were discussing that every time you go in the supermarket, your money is losing value, and it's like week by week. It's not even more like 1 month after or 1 year later. It's just happening so quickly. So we're just discussing that it's great to buy everything right now, every type of goods, just commodities, gold, silver. Yesterday we were actually making large uh, purchases of health supplements. We were buying like things like magnesium, and just making a storage of magnesium. I also investing right now in supplements, which is something I would never think would be possible if I look 5 years back on the time. So definitely it's all tied together. We just see that since the US dollar has been detached from the gold standard, if I'm not mistaken, that happened in 1971 or
Yes.
1973. Yeah, that's it, from President Nixon. You just see that that was supposed to be a temporary decree, but we have to understand that when governments come with something temporary, it's actually not temporary at all. Just look, it can also be tied to what happened in the pandemic. So I do believe that gold-backed stablecoins are going to be at the foundations of the new emerging economy. And I think we have to pay a lot of attention to BRICS countries and what they are doing with their gold reserves right now. And the answer is every single BRICS country is increasing their gold reserves. So we have to ask the right questions.
Right. And if I may also, we are waiting on regulation of stable coins. That's what you just said, just to top it off, add some flavor. Regulation on stable coins and the reevaluation of the gold under Basel III regulations. So there was a lot of speculation about the potential intersection between the gold-backed currencies and cryptocurrencies, and that's what Vanilla and I have talked about a lot, and you and I here too, in the form of stable coins. So that integration is going to offer that hybrid solution that everybody is looking for, and it combines, again, stability of precious metals with the efficiency and flexibility of digital currencies. Um, Ito, if you don't mind, there were like 2 or 3 questions I did see here. Is that okay if we answer them? Is that
Absolutely,
okay?
yes, go ahead.
So, one from Sunny Unplugged. Actually, he's a friend of mine. We do phone calls regularly. He says, "Don't sleep on silver." He's absolutely right. Silver too is legal tender in some states, but it is a form of money. Always will be, despite how you feel about it. Some idiot said the price doesn't move. So, and there's a reason the price doesn't move. It doesn't move because it's being fluctuated and manipulated and rigged, not just by JP Morgan and some of the bigger institutions here. It's because we have a damn printing press. You take the printing press away, guess what? You can't do that anymore, okay? So, if price is really all you need to determine your investment strategy, that's a big mistake. That's not what proper investors do, okay? You got to think outside the box. Another person asked about where do I see XRP in 2024? I just see it growing massively. That's what's been happening for the last few years. The global adoption is already happening. The global use case and utility of XRP is already there. The only thing holding this back is the lawsuit. And guess what? Mike Novakratz, if that's how I pronounce his name correctly, a Bitcoin billionaire, I believe, he mentioned a statement, and I agree with him entirely. How he was saying that there's going to be a point this year when the SEC is going to be forced to drop many, many lawsuits that are there illegally, by the way, because the SEC is working on behalf of the Senate Banking Committee, which will tie us later on into John Deaton and his run for the Senate race of the Massachusetts. And we're going to talk about that too. But, this is exactly what Senator Warren is all about. She's protecting those institutions. They have deep ties with the SEC. And, going back to the question, where's XRP going to be in a year from now? I think it's going to be all over the world. I think it's going to be doing very well. As far as price, there are several contributing factors that are holding the price back. And there are several things we have to still talk about. And that's what I used to do in my older videos. No one listened. No one supported the arguments. But if you're going to talk about the price of XRP is going to be gold backed. It's always supposed to be gold backed. It's a digital form of gold. For that to happen, whether it's Nasara, Jasara, or something else, there has to be a reevaluation of the gold price, hence the Basel III regulations. There has to be a discussion about the global debt, which would explain why all the institutions worldwide and central banks worldwide have adopted this technology and are buying XRP actively, because I believe that they are going to, let's say, clean the slate with a reevaluated gold price pegged through stable coins or some form of token where XRP can wipe out the debt clean. And that's when you're going to have your high XRP price. So there's a lot of other things people are not taking into account when they ask about the XRP price. I'm just saying that question is so old, but I hope that helped.
Yeah, thanks for that. Versan, and just seeing if we have more questions here that we could actually answer. And by the way, I can also touch on the recent thread that I wrote, which I think is incredibly interesting. If you don't mind, so I'm gonna try to do something that I never done here. I saw James doing, so I'm gonna try to quickly share my screen here. Okay. So if you give me 1 minute, meanwhile, Versan, if you can see if someone is actually asking more questions. And meanwhile, I'm going to try to share my screen here. It's the first time I do this. Okay, I think I got it.
Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second if you don't mind.
So, guys, I'm asking if you can see my screen. I guess you can, right? Oh, we are frozen, I guess.
Hey, what are we looking at here? What was that?
I'm trying to share the screen, but it seems that I am frozen there. It's crazy. But let's see if I go on the. Now you guys can see it, or actually you are seeing the same frozen image?
Seeing the same frozen image.
Wow, man, that's very weird. So I have to remove it and
Do I believe Ripple manipulates the price? No.
they don't really need to. There's no necessity for them to manipulate the price. No, so guys, I was gonna share with you. Well, for some reason I couldn't share the screen, anyways. But I just wrote a thread yesterday, and I was doing some research. You know, Ryan Fugger has founded Ripple, which, by the way, before was called OpenCoin, and I started to do some research on who is actually Fugger Family, you know, and that leads me to a gentleman which was called Jacob Fugger, which happens to be known as the richest man that has ever lived. And then I started to do more research, and I started to connect dots between Fugger Family, Ryan Fugger, and the magazine cover of 1998, which is actually a Rothschild owned magazine. But that gets very interesting. So if you go to see the images, you will see that the symbol of the Fugger family is identical to what is actually above the phoenix of the 1998 Economist cover magazine, which says that we're going to have a universal, a global currency, as they described. But that gets even more interesting. So basically, the Fugger family, they were a prominent family of bankers. Basically, they dominated Europe since the Roman Empire. So that comes from generations. And when we go to see, they have minted their own currency in the 500s, so more than 5 centuries ago. And when you have the images of this uh, currency, which was called the ducats from the Fugger family, and if you see inside the currency, you will find a phoenix with a coin inside the phoenix, and on top of the phoenix, of course, you have the symbol of the Fugger family, which is identical to what is in the Economist magazine, and that's just mind blowing. And then the more I kept on the research, I could identify that even the history of Ripple can be tracked down to 1991, where it comes from a company which was called Ripple Communications. And this company, Ripple Communications, is basically the INSA, the in how is it called, this government agency of the United States. So I came to the conclusion that there is much more to Ripple than we are being told by the mainstream version. Whereas the mainstream version, they say that the name Ripple comes from a song, actually, and that doesn't make any sense because we can track down uh, to 1991 from this company, which was Ripple Communications.
I thought that was a very, very fascinating find. Obviously, I wasn't doing too well when it came out. It did get a lot of attention, and I am going to do more research on it too. That way, next time, and I promise I'll be feeling a lot better, we can actually talk about this in detail and maybe make a history lesson out of it and try to break that down for everybody, just so we can understand more. I think that kind of stuff is very fascinating. It really is.
Oh,
I try.
I was trying to share the screen again, but I think
Yeah,
every time I share the screen, we frozen.
you
That's
keep
crazy.
catching you keep catching me in a bad place. Oh my god. Okay, so I was doing a little bit of research this morning. I was trying my best to come up with it, but that when I started looking into what you were talking about, it's insane to believe that the founding Ripple, I'm sorry, the founder of Ripple was and Ripple Pay too, right? By Ryan
Yeah,
Fugger, is that how you pronounce it?
Ryan Fugger, yes.
Ryan Fugger, yeah. So it's just fascinating because of his lineage, and that lineage, how it traces back to the renowned Fugger family, which I know very little about. I'm going to do more research, but apparently it's a prominent banker family from the 16th century of Europe. And I just think
Yeah,
that's
and Versan,
phenomenal.
that gets even more crazy because they use it to control banks, and I could find connections from the Fuggers to the HSBC and Santander, which is quite
Okay.
fascinating. I still haven't released this information, but I did find connections from the Fuggers. I mean, if you just look for this man, Jacob Fugger, he was basically the most influential man that has lived on the 500 year, I think, yeah, 5 centuries ago. So that's a very
Yeah.
interesting story. I wish I could share the screen here to show the images so people really would understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of research, and it was pretty cool because their family long ago, like you said, one of the richest men in the world, they had so much influence, and what's interesting is to understand the connection between Ryan Fugger's ancestry and the creation of Ripple Pay. I guess it suggests the blend traditional banking heritage and their financial innovation and evolution, which means they've been with us all along then, if that's the case. And they just
Yeah,
know
and
how to keep
actually,
a
sorry
very
to interrupt
quiet,
you.
right.
Yeah, they also held a substantial portion of the gold in the entire world. So they were
Ah,
also heavily invested in gold, silver, and copper.
oh, that makes sense. I'm seeing a different picture in my head. Gold backed.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating, man. It really was. And we certainly need to expand on this next time. And obviously, great research, man. For real. You really did catch something there. And they they give themselves away through symbolism a lot. And I think that's pretty amazing. And it even reminds me of their logo, the triskelion. And I did put a tweet about this before, that the triskelion was, it represented the birth, the death, which is the lawsuit, and then the rebirth of XRP, the three sided. And it also resembled the interconnectedness between the digital world, the crypto world, and the physical world. And I
yeah.
thought
For
that was
for
pretty cool.
anyone wondering, this is the magazine. So if you guys want to have a look later, you just type Economist cover 1988, and you're gonna find this magazine.
Yeah. Yeah. You nailed it, Ito. You're onto something there. And I think it would be great to expand on this for sure next time. Yeah. Good work.
Yeah, man. I say when I was doing this research, and I start to, I think the things sometimes they just reveal, and I just got this aha moment when I saw that the Phoenix was this. When I actually saw the Ducker currency, which is the currency minted
Yeah.
by the Fuggers family 500 years ago, and I saw this image, and I just click, and it's like that's the Economist cover, and for me that was the most shocking moment I had in this year, at least.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty amazing, man. Good work. And certainly we
And
need
I
to
have
find it.
also to send thanks for the community, because when I actually posted it, it was them that started to actually reveal more and more connections. So the people just did an amazing job, and we just did it together at some point. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guarantee you the community thanks you as well because, everyone's looking for the next thing. They're looking for the next thing to just expand on, to research, to put the clues together. So you certainly paved the way for them to have something to talk about and monetize on. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah, excellent. So, um, I guess we're already 45 minutes. Before we close this, I think we should talk about Senator Warren and John Deaton. I think that's also the big news, right? Can everyone agree? Okay. Let's agree to disagree then. All right. But last time we talked on the live stream, there was a shadow of uncertainty, and we were talking about this about John Deaton's potential candidacy for the Massachusetts Senate race, and today we can actually confirm that John Deaton is running. He officially entered the political arena. So this is amazing news because John Deaton is somebody with character, and he has fought for the community for a long time before he even considered going into politics. John Deaton came from nothing. And I think many of us can have relate to that because many of us have come from nothing and we built something here for ourselves and for each other. So I know where he's coming from. I really do. But what I love about this conversation is the fact that we could talk about Elizabeth Warren, who I don't like and who I've been super vocal about for so long in my older videos too, attacking her. And she is corrupt. She is incumbent. And I'm here to help John Deaton describe her to everybody else. So many people think that she's been painted as a champion for the people, which is complete bullshit. Because when you peel back the layers, you uncover a web of collusion and deceit. And I'm happy to expose that. So Warren's cozy relationships with JP Morgan and other influential banking entities, it's not just a footnote that we're putting down here. It's a stain on the fabric of democracy and free enterprise capitalism because she's just not serving on the Senate Banking Committee. There's a conflict of interest that not enough people talk about because her allegiance lies with the very institutions that they're supposed to be regulating. And that has turned their back on us. So we can't forget also her ties to Gary Gensler, the son of a, I don't want to say the term, I have to be professional, but the man who stood at the helm when the FTX crash, Celsius, Terra Luna, and Gemini faced catastrophic collapses, billions and billions of retail investor funds stolen. So the repercussions of the financial cataclysms, basically, they extend far beyond the number of balance on the balance sheets, right? So there's just a lot of unchecked power and unchecked greed that permeates our financial system. And I think that's what John Deaton is going to fight and tear this up. So I'm excited about this, but I'd like to dive in a little deeper if I may. The investor funds that were stolen from the collapse of these enterprises while Senator Warren was at the helm, as well as Gary Gensler, a lot of that money was stolen and sold to Ukraine, given to Ukraine, I'm sorry, which had, of course, a lot of life was wasted and lives were sacrificed for the sake of perpetuating a cycle of corruption. And that's really what it comes down to. And ladies and gentlemen, what I just mentioned is the surface of the conversation because this ties also into ETHgate. So the last thing I'll talk on, and I'll let you speak, Ido, I'm sorry for going on, is that John Deaton is not just a contender. He's going to be a symbol for resilience and determination because, again, rising from humble beginnings in a tough neighborhood, I think he's forged a path for himself and for all of us to advocate for him and also advocacy for accountability. And of course, the XRP ecosystem. And it's just, it's amazing to see how this is going to play out. But I hope he wins and I know he will. So Sorry for going on, guys. I get emotional when it comes to Senator Warren. I've been telling people she is so corrupt.
Yeah, and I think it's finally some light at the end of the tunnel to hear about John Deaton getting involved. To take her off, hopefully that's what I think. Me, you, and I believe everyone here on the comments agree with us. And what we have seen with FTX, well, you just nailed it. I mean, they were just stealing from customer funds, life savings of people, and channeling it to Ukraine. And it's not like when you have collapses in the magnitude of FTX, in the magnitude of what happened previously to Luna, the saddest part of that is that it's not only people losing their investments, because you have to very separate what is an investment of what is life savings. You have people holding to stable coins, people having their money on USDT, USDC, and all of this money was just overnight vanished away. And they just take SBF and they put all of the guilt to SBF. I'm not saying he's not guilty, but there is a whole infrastructure behind SBF that hasn't been punished at all. We have Gary Gensler having private meetings with SBF just a couple of weeks before it was collapsed. And then we have Gary Gensler attacking Ripple, which seems to be the legit player here. And he's actually closing his eyes to FTX. So that makes absolutely not sense. If I were to be an American citizen, I would feel embarrassed to have someone like Elizabeth or someone like Gary Gensler as a representative. And I already said this before. I work for a law firm which is based in Portugal, although I live actually in Greece. I work remotely. And every month we say there is a new all time high for Americans reaching to us, and they just investors, founders, anyone who is involved in the crypto industry. They come for legal advice because they don't want to deal with the SEC. Nobody wants to deal with the SEC. There is no clarity. And I do believe that perhaps if we get rid of these bad actors, there will be a better place in the United States for actually its investors.
Excuse me.
Trust at least the SEC. I don't think anybody trusts the SEC. And all of this disorganization is actually leading to what happened to Europe when we had Web 2.0 with every fintech like Amazon, Google. It was all in the United States, and Europe has just been losing this run for the Web 2.0. If there is not a change in the United States, well, America is going to end up losing Web 3.0, which stands for the blockchain revolution, because companies, crypto investors, nobody wants to deal with the lack of clarity and the corruption that is instaured in the United States. So I think John Deaton is somehow light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. And, Senator Warren, we have to acknowledge, and I hope this really gets mainstream news eventually. It would be nice to see. But remember, all the mainstream news are corrupted because they're owned by very few people. And hopefully they've been replaced, and we'll see what happens. But Senator Warren has been at the head of, I lost my train of thought, but she's been at the head of
The head of the snake,
basically
she is.
no, JP Morgan's grip, basically. She's been helping JP Morgan along with the lawsuit that we see happening with Ripple. And many people don't want to accept the fact that JP Morgan has a grip on the SEC and the Ripple lawsuit. I can tell you right now, JP Morgan is responsible for holding this thing together still. I know a lot of people say these are puppets, okay, or cabal puppets if you want. But hey, let me tell you something. These cabal puppets need to go. They need to go, and we need more people to voice out and prove to the world that there's this corruption that is so embedded and entrenched in our financial system. And the regulators, who the hell is the SEC to try to regulate this space? They don't have the tools to regulate where the future is going. They're outdated. I mean, they need to just be shut down permanently. The SEC has abused its privileges. They've taken taxpayer dollars. They've stolen from people. They've destroyed businesses. They've suppressed innovation and entrepreneurship. So I wouldn't even know where to start. Somebody said supposedly Gensler is a white hat. I've heard this a long time ago before, and apparently he's like protecting Ripple, and that's why he's holding the lawsuit together. I don't know. There's a lot of information out there, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I know the answers because I don't, but it's just a lot of the politicians need to be replaced. They just need to go. I mean, our democratic system is so broken. It's so sad. It really is, guys. And hopefully we can make small change here. And that's why we do these discussions, right?
Let's see if we have
Ito?
some comments. Yeah, I was just reading to the comments here if we have something. John.
I think next on Thursday, we have a very special guest coming on. I'm not going to say who. Ito and I are excited about this. But we will be discussing specifically XRP. We will talk about the Bitcoin halving. A lot of people want to hear about this because people are looking for gains. And I understand that. So we'll certainly turn the conversation towards the Bitcoin halving and see where that's going to take this whole market and all the opportunities for everybody out here. But there's a lot of opportunity right now. We are still in the accumulation phase. I'm sure many people are aware of that. So all you can do is just continue to position yourself, keep accumulating, not just XRP, but other assets out there for sure. There's a lot of opportunity. Just don't get left behind,
I,
right?
I see a comment here from Gilly S. Very interesting comment, by the way. And he says, Google what they did to Dr. Shiva. No, I'm not sure if you know who is Dr. Shiva, Versan, but I actually interviewed him. He's a presidential candidate for the US. And I can bring on the show if you want. I can talk to him. But we might
Yeah,
get
sure,
almost
absolutely.
suspended because he's very controversial.
Okay,
He's
that's
the
totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the inventor of the email, and he's very specialized in everything also about health and nutrition. And he's running as an independent for the US presidential elections. I got the opportunity to interview him with James. I think it was like 4 months ago. Great guy. And I see some people actually commenting about him. I can definitely reach out to Dr. Shiva.
Absolutely, that'd be great. And even differences in views and opinions doesn't mean we can all come together and still have a conversation about something. And that's the importance of these discussions. Putting our differences aside. Doesn't matter, who you are. I'm happy to talk to anybody, and I appreciate the community, and I appreciate people just coming in with different views and perspectives, and that's important. That's how we're going to get through all this shit together. Ah,
Yeah, I think
my dear friend, Las Vegas spokesmodel. She's such a sweetheart. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have many comments
Well,
that people are definitely appreciating. And again, guys, if you just enter the live stream now, Versan has been sick for the last days, so he make an extraordinary effort to actually come here today and commit. I know how it feels, man, when you are tired, and live stream can be very exhausting. At least uh, I find more easy sometimes to just make videos than to live stream because you'd have all more efforts that you actually put on the live stream. So
you should have
if
seen
you are
me the
sick,
other day, man. Uh, if I may, the other day I had all this thoughts in my head just bottled up, and I was like, I couldn't talk yesterday. It was awful, and I was like, I gotta say something because my listeners know I have a habit of talking a lot and very fast. So some people are like, okay, this is good for a change.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think your voice as we started the stream is getting better. minute by minute.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to be feeling better, guys, by Thursday, 100%. I'm going to be just taking care of myself. But, I'm so grateful for all the kind comments. And thank you guys for just uh, being kind and, taking care of me, I guess, because that does make me feel good. Yes,
Yeah, we
Bitcoin is going
appreciate.
up. Yes, everyone's watching Bitcoin. Bitcoin's doing well. It's got some green candles, maybe some small corrections here and there, or who knows. But my brother, he's been very vocal about this. He believes that a major correction is coming before the halving because that's what the historical patterns have said. So, just be careful. Remember, have a position. You still can dollar cost average, but it's important. Like me, I'm building a massive position right now in my bank account for when the this small correction my brother is anticipating. I'm going to buy big. Just saying.
I'm with you,
So
Versan,
I do
and
have a strategy myself.
I also expect a correction, and I hope it's gonna be not so huge correction unless we see some black swan event taking place. But let's see
Uh,
what's gonna happen. I don't think before the U.S.
let's
election.
hope not. Let's hope not. Also, I'd love to share this if I may. Uh, remember the AT&T outage that happened at Verizon, AT&T, right?
Yeah,
There was a massive outage. Okay, well, that outage was mainly affected here in the States. What I found interesting is whenever there's a story like that that gets pushed, I'm always like, okay, something else is going on, right? So I started researching what the hell is going on in the world right now. And what was crazy is I found that Julian Assange his hearing was coming up in the courts of the justice system. And they tried to, of course, they're trying to extradite him to the US with the CIA. And obviously, everyone knows the CIA is a rogue operation. It's so crazy, man. The CIA they need to be destroyed, man. Somebody needs to take them down because that's what they do. They assassinate people, they interfere in elections, they infiltrate governments and try to break down a government and their society from within. So that came out, that news about Julian Assange. And I hope everybody, you know, oh, this is amazing. My father is in here. Oh, wow. Okay. Sorry, guys. I just noticed something. So, Julian Assange, he needs to be freed. He really does because what he did was not criminal. It was not the Espionage Act. He didn't violate any rules and regulations or laws. And don't people want to sugarcoat that crap, calling him a traitor and treason? It's so sad because the truth is he did something, a service for humanity, and I want people to show thanks for that, even though he doesn't know it. Um, his wife, like it's so sad what she has to go through, and I just it's crazy. I want Julian Assange to be freed because he did a service to humanity by revealing some dark secrets about the CIA and the Hillary Clinton emails. If people done their research, these are rabbit hole topics we don't have to talk about. Um, but he exposed all of that, and he really turned the page. And I think he helped Trump understand some things that he didn't know. It's possible. And I think Trump knows a lot. I think he's very smart. And, so yeah, I saw that story come out. And there was another story. It was so important. My God, guys, I'm so sorry. My train of thought is just, but yeah, you know, there's just so much going on underneath the surface of a lot of stories that do come out. So just be mindful when you see a headline that there's probably a few headlines they don't want you to see. Actually was the Epstein thing. That's what it was. So, but we'll talk about that next time.
I think your thought line is great for someone who lost 10 pounds in a couple of days, Versan. So
I was scared. I was hallucinating. I don't know what the hell happened to me. Felt like a demon attacked me in my sleep. It felt that way. Yeah. So sinister forces trying to get me, right? Someone's trying to kill me. Maybe they poisoned me. No, I actually got sick because of the immune system of somebody else I know. He wasn't taking care of himself. So as a consequence, I got infected. My immune system is good, ladies and gentlemen. I do take care of myself. In fact, I spend a lot of my money on my health. But the problem is sometimes you just catch something and
Yeah, it
there's nothing
happens.
you can do about it. The immunity going into fever and shock like that is a mechanism of the body building this strength to fight off the disease or the virus. So that is a good thing too.
Yeah, me personally, I always embrace the fever. I will never take medications to lower my fever. And whenever you have a high fever, just go to sleep and you just wake up feeling fresh. That's how it actually works, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing. My father appeared.
Ah, your father is watching? That's great, man.
It's very sweet. Hi, Dad. Yeah, he's out of Saudi Arabia. So yeah, he's up to speed on everything, guys. My father, yeah, very smart man. Also a big XRP holder. Yeah, we when we talked to my father about XRP the first time, it was amazing. He did his research too, and he was like, "Wow." So yeah,
Yeah, someone comments about Jacob Fugger, very important German family. Yes, that's indeed one of the most influential families. Wonder why it was there.
well, it's amazing that I can have a conversation live on YouTube, and my father can be here with me. So it's beautiful. First time he's participated. And I'm truly grateful. I'm just happy to see his name. Edo, is there anything you want to talk about? Or we could wrap this up. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. So, any final thoughts, Versan? First, I want to thank everyone for the comments. They were very kind. Also, they give you so many health advices, Versan. You should definitely read some of them because
Yes.
they just came with great recommendations here. People talking about magnesium, natural honey, having great nights of sleep. I think on the right path. You know, I think you have very intelligent audience here watching us today. So I want to thank you everyone for that.
Yeah.
Want to send a special
And,
thanks to
thank
your
you
father
all.
as well, who is watching us.
Yes. Thank you, Dad, for being here. And, just thank you all for being patient and kind. I'm so humbled and grateful. And yes, I keep seeing in the comments uh, the health tips. And I promise you guys, I've done most of it. I haven't done ivermectin yet. So, but I have been taking zinc, magnesium, vitamin C, ginger, tea, garlic, honey. I've been on all the natural stuff. I don't take pharmaceutical prescribed pills. I don't take anything that's not prescribed either. I don't trust big pharma, okay, at all. Yeah.
I see
And
someone
sea
actually
salt.
made
I've
a
done
great.
sea salt.
I see a great comment
Yeah.
here from Peaceful Gamer. He says the king reigns, but the bank rules. It's a quote from Jacob Fugger. I think we have to really study this guy, Jacob Fugger. There is a lot to review about him, which might give us some answers that we are
Yeah.
looking for.
I'll certainly do my part, and you and I can talk about it back and forth through the messages. And
Yeah.
maybe on Thursday we could bring this up with our special guest. And I promise you guys, you're not going to want to miss this. Our special guest is going to shock you, and he is a big XRP guy. So
Oh,
you're
I'm
going to be
glad
very
that
happy.
I'm glad when we start the live. I was about to say that. Oh, guys, our apologies. We had to cancel with, and I was gonna say his name about Thursday. So I'm glad I haven't, because we're gonna keep as a
Don't
secret.
say his name.
Yeah,
Don't say his name. We're going to surprise everybody. And that's the way we like to keep it.
someone says David
Okay.
Schwartz.
No, no.
No, no,
And,
David Schwartz.
it would be nice to get David Schwartz on the show. Uh, but yeah, it's not easy to get real like experts on. It's very challenging. Believe me. It took me 6
Well,
months to get Robert Kiyosaki on.
it's difficult. I
6
agree with
months. And
you.
I
And
almost got Alex Jones on. Alex Jones responded to my email. We were going back and forth along with my brother. And let me tell you what happened. Alex Jones became famous again. I don't know if you guys saw that when he became big on Twitter. This was recently when he did his podcast with Joe and Elon. So when he got famous again, like he started getting worldwide attention. Guess what? I looked at my brother and I said, "Oh shit!" I said, "Vidal, we're never gonna get him on now." So yeah,
don't worry. In a few months, he will DM back to you and he will ask to come on the show.
that would have been nice, but we'll
Well, guy,
see.
just I give already as a hint, is not David Schwartz and is not Gary Gensler, and it's
Yeah,
definitely not Elizabeth.
let's not tease people, okay? Let's just yeah.
Yeah.
So any last thoughts, Ito, or we're good, right?
No, we are good, man. I think we just send a special thanks for everyone for the comments, for all the positive thoughts, and see you guys on Thursday at the same time.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you guys and have a wonderful day, okay?